Hi, I'm Sandy Genovese and welcome to this episode of the Ellison Education video series. Today, you're going to be able to tell your students to go fly a kite. Literally, when they make the tetrahedron kite with nothing more than tissue, straws, and string. Or in this case today, I'm actually using ribbon. You're going to need to start with the die that's the tetrahedron kite die. And when you look at it, this is a sure-cut die, meaning that it's encased, the steel rule is encased in wood. And you'll notice that there's no blade here. It's because you're going to fold the tissue paper along this line. So when I turn it over to the rubber side of the die, I've placed a piece of masking tape on there just as a guide so that every time I place my tissue, I can see where I want to place the folded edge. And I'm going to line the folded edge of the tissue right up with that masking tape. Now, because the tissue, as you can see, it's kind of got a bunch of bumps and folds in it, I'm going to take another piece of just construction paper and lay it over the top just to sort of hold all those layers together. And then I'm going to place it in the tray. I'm going to roll it through the Big Shot Pro machine. If you have the Ellison Prestige machine, then you probably know that these wood dies all work in those machines as well. And I'm going to just crank it through. I could be cutting a lot more tissue at one time if I could get the tissue to not be so bouncy. You can see here, I'll lift it off and show that I've gone ahead and I've cut 10 of these tetrahedron kite tissue shapes. This will be the paper part of the die, and if I bring this up, you can see the ones that I actually used in my finished example was striped. Let me bring it over and I'll show you. After you put all of them together, here you're looking into the tetrahedron shapes, and I discovered that the best way that this flies is actually by attaching the string to this surface. And it's really fun for you to have the kids figure out where's the best place to put the string and at what point do they want to attach the long length of cord or string that they're going to use to actually fly the kite. I had the best success when I came about 1/3 of the way down. However, you know, it's one of those things that it would be a fun lesson for them to kind of play with and figure that part out. Now, in order to create the actual shape, I mentioned strings and straw. Well, what I have here, I've used ribbon because I think it's a little bit easier for you to see. And I started with a 3-foot length of ribbon, and I've gone ahead and I've already threaded 3 straws through the ribbon, and I've tied it into a triangle, which gives me, I know the straws are clear so they might be a little hard to see, but it gives me this triangle shape. Then I took a 2-foot length of additional ribbon and I tied it onto one of the corners, and I've threaded 2 more of the straws, and I'm going to now go back and I'll tie this into a knot. You would want to tie these into double knots to make it really nice and strong. For my purposes, just to make it go a little quicker, I'll just go ahead and make one single knot just because it's faster. But this gives you the next step. Then you want to take an additional 2-foot length of ribbon and go ahead and attach it to one of the ends. So normally this would be loose, but I've gone ahead and I've threaded my last straw for this particular thing on so that when I pull this around and bring this down, you can see how I've created the tetrahedron shape. And once again, you would have all of these knots be doubled so that they would be nice and sturdy. At this point, you're going to take the kite, the tissue tetrahedrons that for the kite that you've cut, you're going to open them up, and I start by placing adhesive right down that middle fold line, and I'm going to place this straw so that it lines up with where that adhesive would be, and then I put adhesive on this flap and I roll it over, and I put adhesive on this flap and I roll it over, and then I take the whole thing and I rotate it this way and do the same thing with the flaps on this end, and it gives you the first of what you'll need to do for it. Gives you the first of the tetrahedron elements that are going to create this really cool kite. And notice that all of the joints of each of these tetrahedron shapes have these ribbon ends, and that's what's used to attach them all together. You create the 3 on the bottom and then the 1 on the top. And you know, you don't need to worry about taking notes. If you go online, you'll notice that there is an instruction sheet as well. Any die that that Ellison sells that needs to be assembled, there's always an instruction sheet that comes with the die as well. So, who knew that simple things like straws, string, and tissue could transform into such a great geometry project?